Hey yo, what is up guys? This is your boy Twa here, and well, I got a question from one of the viewers, Ifran Khan, that says the following: Yo, bud, with all of the different content right now, tons of real life shit, and I want to min-max everything. So I basically translate this to, I got shit to do, how do I play this game while doing it? So without further ado, let's get into some content and how I perform my daily routine. But before that, if any of you guys have any other questions that are, well, relevant for me to make a video about, please put them into the comments and I'll get to that as soon as possible. But let's get into some content. So we got a lot of daily stuff that we should be doing. So let's just start out with the very basics. So once my day starts off, it doesn't matter what, I go here, get all of the units, and there's a nifty trick to this. If you press the start button, then press escape, you can skip the animation and then can start it up. This will save you a few seconds, not that much. Then what I do, I go to friendship, I double click it, then I go back, then I go to inventory, and I pop everything scroll wise that I want to right now. If there are any other events that are popping off, like the double upper dungeons, then well, you could get a double loot box as well. But currently we're not having that, not having anything of that. So what I do then, I go to the general shop, I buy something that is not pricey, so something like this would suffice, and this will pop up your missions as well. And then we start off with, in this case, let's start off with a guild conquest. Now this is all about money and potions, because the reason why I do all of them is that these things, the ruby flask, they will all translate to, in this case, rubies. Not getting them would be a waste. So let's start off. We got the timer right now, and let's see how far we can get. I got Urzi on, I think, a little bit of gear, good enough for me to work with, and obviously there are better characters to do this. I would say Miru would be one of them, because she is faster onto AoE, has some bursting potential, and from this point on it takes me roughly 15 minutes maximum to do anything. So if I'm thinking 15 minutes, what can I do right now on a daily basis? So I could basically walk off, brush my teeth. If I do a quick shower, I can do that as well. Do two things at the same time. And once I get back, I can start off the next thing. And this is part of the micromanagement. So when you wake up, like, you go to your mobile phone, you click everything, and that is not the best way to start the day off, don't get me wrong. But if you want to min-max this game, I would suggest doing stuff like this. So let's just see. Currently we're on, let's say, Alright, so coming up is the last part of the conquest. And looking at the time, we're currently at, well, 45 minutes, so it took me about 13 to 15 minutes to complete this totally. And the team with me right now is an Urzi 2-star. So even for beginner players, it is pretty easy to get this amount of clearing speed. Also, what you tend to see is people that do this content on a very set time, and here's where time management comes into play, because we now know that this takes about 15 minutes. What if you press one scroll, like all of the money scrolls, and you have 2 hours at night to play? Now what you could do, for instance, and I'll move on to the next objective, which is Orville. What you can do then is use the same scroll at the same hour, and make sure that you do the Ancient Vault and you do Conquest. That way, with one scroll, you're getting double the rewards. Or, well, not really double the rewards, but at least you're getting more out of one scroll. So that is something to keep in mind if you're really min-maxing everything. So next up will be Royal Vault, and this takes just about 5 minutes. So this is something where I would sit down, look at my phone, check my emails, do whatever. or just look at my screen flashing and everything, me trying to wake up in the morning. Alright, last one into the Royal Vault, and if we check the timer once again, we are on 42 minutes right now, so it's 4 to 5 minutes for me to do the Royal Vault, which is pretty easy. And onto the newer patch, you cannot skip out on this, because soul weapons, they cost a lot of gold, especially if you're a new player and you're still working out like all of your gear. Then you just need that. Definitely need to do this. Like, I know at the beginning of the game I skipped this out so much because it didn't seem worth it to me, and now much regret. Okay, so then the other thing that I do is, because we're currently on 20-ish minutes, right? We're still not up in the hour. So what I do is I go to the upper dungeon. I do all of these, by the way. I do all of them. There are people that say like, oh, but the latter ones give you more rewards, such and such. Yes, true, but nah, we just do all of them. Now we take one that has the low set amount, and in this case, it is this one. Now, the Fragment of Fortune, I know my Urzi has a little bit of problems with this one, but 9 out of 10 times this roughly takes about 30 to 35 minutes. So this is the moment where I would just go away, make myself some food, eat up, get dressed, and that's where we will cut that off. And this is like the very basics. So let's see how much time this actually takes. Okay, so even though with the 2 deaths, right, and probably my Philip and Claw's not even on the right gear, it takes me about 15 minutes total to complete all of this. So here is what I do next, because there's a few things that you can be doing. So I know at some point at the start of my day, it takes me about 15 minutes ish to get started, and then I need to go and cycle to my train if I want to get it on time. So what I do next, because I'm playing on an emulator, what I do is I go to multi, I put anything that I put on here, make a team, create the raid, single raid, and just auto repeat and keep that popping. Now with this amount, it should take about 15 minutes ish to complete all of that. Now that also helps with the limited mission where you want to get your daily stamina, the 500 one. So the moment I reach my train, I grab my mobile phone, I start playing on this one, and what I do next is I do this stuff, the League of Victory. Now it takes me about 30 minutes to reach my university, and I can tell you this much, it takes me about 15 minutes to 20 minutes to complete this, right? So that means that within that set time for me to wake up on the start of my day, to maximize everything possible, it takes me from like the start of my school, I got most of my tickets done, but there's still more, guys. So here's another thing that I want to address, and that is World Boss. And I've already addressed the mechanic of doing things more than just 2 times the tickets that you have, which means that I can pop this world boss ticket, but I know I need to like re-gear all of my characters. That takes about 15 minutes to 20 minutes tops, right? If I really need to get into it. It can be done in 5 or even less, but it's still time wasting. So what I would do is, if I know I have a set amount of time that I do the world boss in, I wait for that time window with the reset. Because with the reset, I can, instead of do 2 tickets, I can do 4 tickets. And the same goes for League of Honor. Now this is 20 tickets and it roughly takes me about an hour to an hour and a half. So do that twice, it takes you about 2 hours to 3 hours to complete this total. Now this is something on newer players I would not advise investing that much time into it, because the rewards are only good if you look at it from a perspective of just getting the mysterious fragments or whatever they're called. So if you go to the League of Honor shop, it's the unique treasure fragments and get the artifact piece. Now this can be achieved with just 2 days of playing League of Honor. Now this can be done in the weekend, right? But one of the things that I would address to everybody playing is make sure to at least get into the master ranks if you have the possibility, because it basically says the following: oh, nowadays you actually need to be on top 15. Like, it used to be that this had no top sequence or whatever. That way you can just get yourself into master rank. Or wait, let me double check this. No, it still has a top sequence. So getting into diamond or getting into masters is something that I would advise every single one of you guys to make sure to do. And now we got another ticket that is could be time consuming. Kind of depends on what kind of guild you're in. If you're at an achieving guild, you go to the raid outpost. You just go here, guild raid. I got myself 4 tickets. What I do is I press one character. He has some gear, but he dies within 2 hits. That takes me 10 seconds to complete. You still get the reward of the usual stuff, and it takes the least amount of time. But also with this, I would rather consume 4 tickets at a time instead of doing 2. Now, I would say that basically concludes everything that I do on a daily basis. If you guys have any questions or something that is unclear, make sure to put that into the comments. But for now, this is Twebby. Peace!